Welcome in, everybody. VTR Radio Network sponsors its first debuting episode of Veteran Voices on the radio, and we have here tonight several awesome individuals. My co-host Doc from TikTok. He's also a Marine and a veteran himself. We have our very special guest, Mr. Chris Cleveland. I'll introduce him here in a minute, but first, I want to go over this show's particular guidelines as we are a PTSD awareness, suicide awareness, and crisis intervention group who come together as combat and non-combat vets to help battle the 22 a day. And we'll be discussing a lot of that as we move forward throughout the show. That being said, if you have any questions, please refer them to our YouTube channel. Refer them to the YouTube channel. They will be vetted by either myself or Doc before they are asked. If you have any positive comments, please refer them to the YouTube channel as well. We will not be monitoring but sparsely the TikTok feeds as we have to focus on this veteran who is here to tell his story. That is the biggest thing that is going on right now, right here in the United States, is this one man who is sitting right here with us is going to tell his story. And that's what we want to focus on. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Chris Cleveland, U.S. Army, uh, also known as Papa Bear, and we'll probably refer to him as Papa Bear throughout the podcast because that's just what we do. We're
Oh,
we're, we're like that. Um, Chris, please explain. Just give us a formal introduction of who you are, where you're from, and which branch you served, the unit, and your tours.
I tell you what, my name's Chris Cleveland. I'm from Newberry, South Carolina, originally from Edgefield, South Carolina, and it is one of them battles that you have to take into consideration. 101st Airborne Rangers served four different countries: Iran, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. And I have put boots on dirt. I've lost brothers, lost a man that was like a brother to me. He was KIA, 3 foot away from me. And I could tell anybody PTSD is a real thing. And to give anybody back, that's back in 1983. Ronald Reagan was president. And he was the man. He said, let our people go or we coming. Well, we already have boots on dirt over there then. But, you know, just dealing with day to day stuff sometimes can be some of the hardest stuff you can ever deal with. And I tell anybody, I fought that demon for a long time. Had problems, with attitude, temper. Uh, I used to look for a fight, and I turned to alcohol for a long time, and just to try to put that little demon, to the backside of my mind, so I wouldn't have to deal with it. And you know, I can actually say I've been sober now for 30 years, and that's through the help of my wife. I tell anybody that through the help of my wife. But it PTSD was still there. Night terrors was hard. They was heavy, and just couldn't get past the stuff that I'd seen. I tell anybody I don't like big crowds, people, and so forth, so on. I don't like that whatsoever at all. And I just got to where my temper was so bad and lashing out, and not even realizing I was lashing out and throwing down, but that was the alcohol in it. And I get around a crowd of people and it's just freeze up, lock up. It's like my head was on a swivel 360, brother. I was watching everything around me. People could look at me cockeyed or cross-eyed or whatever, and I was almost like being locked and cocked. And unfortunately, it took many, many years for me to finally get some help, and that was through my wife telling me. She says, "Baby, you got to get some help." And the VA plays these games in They want to keep you messed up and doped up, stuff like that right there. I'll tell anybody, if you don't know about that, they'll send you some pills through the mail instead of trying to deal with you, or they want you to talk to somebody that ain't got a freaking clue about what's going on, or because they don't know if they ain't put boots on dirt. I can tell them that right now. Until you put boots on dirt and you've seen live combat, you ain't seen nothing. Because live combat, I'll tell you right now, once you put boots on dirt in a foreign country and you hit that zone, you do your duty, you actually, the person you was before, you ain't that person no more. That person changes completely 360 degrees. I mean, that person just like he ain't there no more because he's having to make choices, you know, on the snap. I mean, you got to make it just like that. And with my wife, you know, being there for me, putting up with me like she's put up with me. And I mean, I got a beautiful, great wife. I mean, I've been with her for 38 years, been married 37 years to her. And if I'll tell anybody, if it hadn't been for her pushing me to get help, I went outside the VA to get help and found a primary care doctor that was a local doctor that was a captain in the Army. And the first day that I went in and I talked to him, he asked me, he said, "How can I help you?" And tell you how bad my head was. I told him, I said, "Man," I said, "I'm just thinking about throwing you out this third story window." And he looked at me, he said, "Brother," he said, you got some issues. And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Well," I said, "that's why I'm here." I said, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of being put on the back burner. And the government just keeps putting us on the back burner. I mean, it's like back then, the government, they didn't give excuse my language, a rat's ass of what happened to us when we come back home. I mean, I hit the VA. I mean, I snapped my femur and had an open TBI. And I tell anybody, and they had me at the VA, and I was treated worse at the VA than I could have been treated anywhere else. And I mean, and it's like I was handled in the wrong, to me, senses of how the medical part of it is. And the VA, they had like one nurse for 5 patients. And then you try to get therapy and stuff like that. Then they want to send somebody that ain't never seen nothing to want to try to talk to you, get inside of your head while you're dealing with the pain at the same time. You don't want to hear that. I mean, so once I was able, I got myself out the hell out of that damn VA. And I mean it. And I don't want to go back to a VA. I'll tell anybody that. Because 2016, I let the VA basically let my dad die. And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. And, you know, people don't understand, you know, what it's like to be that man looking through that glass and sending one. Because once you send it, you can't take it back. Then you live with that. You live with it every day in your mind. And you try not to think about it. You live with that brother that was lost 3 foot away from you. You live with the brother that was lost, you know, not 30 yards from you. And I mean, does the government care about that? And what makes it so bad? No, the government don't care. They don't care where we on the streets, we sleeping under a bridge or whatever. They don't care nothing about that. But all they want to do is like send you medicine, send you medicine, send you medicine, so forth and so on. But the pain that I live in it's not just physical pain, it's the mental pain that some days is a good day, some days is a bad day. And, you know, it's hard to really kind of talk about some of this stuff, some of the stuff I won't talk about. I mean, because when you deal with it, you have to deal with it. And there's no other way to deal with it except wake up every morning and, you know, get yourself dressed and, you know, find a reason not to try to go down that rabbit hole to get you. you try to find that place to where you can do something to take your mind away from what happened all the way back then. And I mean, my family's full of veterans. There's over 30 veterans in my family right now. And God knows that how many veterans that I do know, personally, outside of my family. But it is the 1-2 punch. I'll tell anybody, the government has got this thing. You can watch CNN, you can watch C-SPAN, whatever you want to. They're only going to tell you what the government is going to tell them they can tell you, because the American public can't handle what real soldiers have to go out and do. They only going to feed the public XYZ amount of information, because if the American public really knew what was happening, boots on dirt, they couldn't handle it. But then when we come home, we have to handle it. So that's the thing, that there's got to be something done. There's got to be something changed about how some of this stuff is being done. Don't sit here and feed us a bunch of pills and feed us crap, put us off 6 months, 8 months, and feed you a bunch of pills. No, don't do that. Don't do that whatsoever at all. I mean, if you want to help a brother, I mean, don't hold him down. Don't put your foot on his neck. Pull that brother, that sister up. I mean, they need a hand up, not a hand out. I mean, they want to come up off the ground. They want to come out the rabbit holes. And I was fortunate enough to meet a beautiful redheaded woman that's the love of my life, that that has brought me a long ways. And I've met a lot of vets that's been in the same situation and feel the same way that I feel about it. And but then you sit back and you look at the government. Where's the government at? Why should I have to beg and plead to get the help that I need from the government? Why should I get what's already I paid my dues for, and for this country, and and get the runaround? And that's BS to me, brother. I'm telling you. I mean, it's 100% BS. But I tell everybody, January 14th, I'll be 58 years old. And I mean, I done been cut so many times that it ain't funny, and I take so many pills that it ain't funny. But I'm still here, and I'm fighting. I'm pushing forward. And I mean, with the love of my wife, I mean, that pushes me harder to want to be better. And man, it's just people don't understand. Once you send one, you can't bring that bullet back once you send it. And it stays up here, and especially when you looking through a glass and you send that daggum thing. I mean, people don't understand. I mean, you liable to come across a kid, 11, 12 years old, and he cracking an AK-47 at you. I mean, he's liable to have an RPG gonna send a rat tail your way. And does people think that what we had to do was something that we want to do? Hell no. Hell no. But you have to do what you got to do, because you have to make a choice between who's coming home, you or them. And unfortunately, a man that I lost was like a brother to me. I mean, through basic AIT, the whole jump school, the whole daggum 9 yards, all the way through, the other part of my MOS that I'm not going to get into, because there's certain things I'm legally obligated that I can't talk about. That but when he was KIA'd, I picked his body up and I put it on the helo myself. He was 3 foot away from me. And I want to tell you what, until you lose a brother like that right there, you ain't seen nothing. Till you've seen an American soldier, I mean, scream for mama, scream for daddy, scream for his wife, and you hear that stuff over and over again. It ain't easy to live with. It ain't easy to live with at all. But it's just one of them things that we have to overcome and conquer. And through talking with people like yourself, Stephen, and other combat veterans, because my daddy was a combat veteran. My grandpa was a combat veteran. my baby brother, he served in Afghanistan. My son-in-law, he pulled 2 tours in Afghanistan. I pinned the Purple Heart on my baby brother's chest myself in Fort Gordon, Georgia. And I mean, he was the only survivor in the rear gunner truck. And to this day, he's still, a mess, but he's still with us. He's still solid. But I mean, but physically, he's tore up. But it is what it is. I mean, we got to put one foot in front of the other, and we just drive on and push on.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Here's a question for you. I haven't had any questions come in from YouTube from any of the people that are watching as of yet, but I do have a question for you, Battle.
Right.
I would like for you to explain to the people watching the transformation that you understand it as from the adolescent who went in to the man that came out.
Well, I'll tell anybody when I joined the Army, I gave the choice. I mean, I was 17 years old. I gave a choice between joining the Army or going to prison. And so I deal with anybody with good sense would do. I chose to go in the Army, and I tell anybody, I thought that was the best thing I could do. And I made a lot of awesome friends and brothers all the way through AIT basic training. I mean, basic training, AIT, jump school, the whole 9 yards. And had one brother, we was neck and neck the whole time, all the way to being deployed. But coming from the person I was just a good old country boy raised by a veteran that was kind of tough on the kids, because there was a lot of us. I mean, we was raised hard working. I mean, we was raised, to respect it, because that's how my dad was, because my dad was a Korea and Vietnam vet. And I thought I was, one tough cookie, when I joined the Army. I mean, I was 6'3", 180 pounds. And I mean, couldn't nobody tell me nothing. And basic was no problem. AIT was no problem. Jump school was no problem. None of it was no problem. And then we get green light to go. Man, out the blue, green light to go. We had 3 minutes to call home. And I mean, they was racking and stacking us. I mean, man, we was towed to the line. And I mean, we was charting the bus going to the strip. And you put that boots on dirt, like you're still in a foreign country, but it ain't dawned on you. Really, you just know you're a long ways from home, but you ain't got mom and daddy to worry about. You ain't got brother and sister to worry about. You ain't got nobody to worry about except the man, that's on you 12, 3, 6, and 9. And all my vets out there, anybody that's listening, they know what that means. 12, 3, 6, 9. I mean, it's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I mean, you sitting there, you locked the cock and ready to rock. I mean, that's all it is to it. And but the first time you go outside that wire, that's a different story then. It don't matter how far y'all roll out, how far the dust turns up, flies behind you, where they drop you out, set you down at. That's one thing. But then you make contact for the first time. Oh, buddy, now you go from being the person you was to a whole complete different person then. Because once you make contact for the first time, I'll tell you right now, if a man tells me the first time he made contact he wasn't scared, I'll call him a damn liar to his face. Because the first time you make contact, I mean, you trying to remember everything you can remember all at one time. And I mean, you got 100,000 things going through your head, but all you know is you got something snapping and zipping by your head, and you trying to keep it in focus. on what you was trained to do. And I mean, when it comes down to it, the man that trained beside you and the man that trained on the left and the right, and the, 12, 3, 6, 9, you covering that man's covering you, and you're doing what you got to do. But the first time you see one of your brothers get hit and he's took down, and I mean, it changes your world, because that's somebody you trained with. I mean, that's somebody you went through everything with, and you might not have been friends with that guy, but he put on the same boots and the same uniform you did. He was your brother. Even if there was back then, there wasn't a lot of women on boots on dirt back over there zipping inside the wire. And I mean, but when you see a man like this, the same size, same built as you, whatnot, and he take around from an AK or RPG bust down beside him, and take it out, man, it changes you that first time, poof, and just the dust and the smoke and stuff that clears. And it's an adrenaline rush like you can't imagine the adrenaline rush that it is. And most veterans would agree with that. That is an adrenaline rush from all hell, because when you ain't had a rush until you had somebody you don't know and you ain't done nothing to, and they open fire on you, and then you got to return fire back. You got to do that, because you're looking out for the people around you just as much as you got to look out for yourself. And that man, before he stepped outside there and he took his first mission and stepped outside that wire, that man no longer exists. That's a different man, because your whole world up here, it starts changing. Then the second time you go out, it changes more. Then the second time, the third time, the fourth time you go out, it changes more and more, and it takes more and more away from you as the person that you used to be. And that's the sad part about it, because you can't get that back. Even though you try to you want it to come back, and you try like hell to get it to come back, you can't get your head back to where it used to be, because it is that thing that once you go out so many times, the person you was before, that person don't exist no more. That person is forever gone. When you make contact that first time, now I'm telling you right now, then the second time, the third time you make contact, then you might go out 2 or 3 more times and not make contact. Because when you make contact, they don't guarantee when you're going to make contact. You allowed to make contact time you step outside that wire. And and that's the thing that people don't understand, is the whole time you man up and you toe to the line and you step out that wire. You load up and you move out and you hop up and you fly out, and they set you down. You in another country where everybody's automatically already hating you, and they don't even know who you are. And even since then, since I come home and I was medically discharged out of the military, and here in Newberry, South Carolina, I had a boy. I was pumping gas, and I had I had 42 staples in my leg, and I had a denim jacket on. It had a U.S. Army veteran Papa Bear on there, and it had a big grizzly bear standing on the back of it. Come running by me and stood on me and said, "F you veterans." If I could have had ran after him, if that boy would have known what I would have had done to him for spitting on me. It's people like us that have put toe to the line, watched people go down and not come back, come home in a box. And when they put you in that box, that forever box, it don't get opened back up until you get home. And then that's your family looking at you. And then they got to deal with that. And then if you come home and you ain't in a forever box, your family still, and I tell everybody, this is what a lot of people don't understand. Your family has to deal with what you went through up here for taking care of this country. And then the VA wants you to talk to this shrink, talk to that shrink, or here, take this. It'll help you relax. It'll help you stay calm. Oh yeah, you can sit there and take all the pills you want. You can chase it with alcohol if you want to. That's a Charlie Foxtrot, buddy. I tell you that right now, because just the alcohol alone, that's a demon not to climb back into. I can tell you right now. And the VA, what they think about sending you a buttload of pain pills or nerve pills or whatnot, oh man, they'll send that to you so quick, man, your head will spin. But getting you in there, nope. But I tell you right now, the best help in the world is actually talking to people and other people that's been there. And I go on veteran hunts and stuff like that, and there's guys that's a whole lot younger than me that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'm telling you right now, and I have talked to a lot of these boys that has been over there because I'm older than them. They are. But I'm telling you right now, having somebody that you can pick up that phone and talk to, or having that shoulder, I mean, it takes a man to cry. I'll tell anybody that. There ain't no shame in a man crying, because you get so messed up here, you want to scream, you want to hit something. I mean, you want to go off that deep end. But sometimes if you can just wrap your arms around that woman that is like I got, and she hugs you, and she knows that you can't help what you seeing in your mind, and you can't help the night terrors to come and hit you wide open and stuff. And that's the stuff that that changes you permanently, because and I mean, there ain't no never forgetting it. I mean, you might learn to deal with it and cope with it. And I mean, I take medication every day to help me deal with PTSD. And I mean, I tell them I got a great doctor, but I got tired, of living mad and being frustrated. And I'm lucky that my wife stayed with me and put up with me through some of this stuff. But I'll tell everybody out there, if you want to find out what PTSD is, and I know there's a lot of different types of PTSD. Compact PTSD is a whole lot different than what some people that's got PTSD does. Because post-traumatic stress can come from a number of things. Combat PTSD, that's a whole different category. In my world, that's just is different. And I mean, I'm not saying that other people out there, that's went through things that ain't got PTSD, if they got PTSD, but have PTSD because you served your country, and then really come back home and all your country wants to do is kind of sweep you up under the rug. They just want to medicate you. Yeah, they want to say they're going to try to fix you up, but they ain't going to tell them how long they're going to take them to fix you up, because they think they can put you on the back burner. That either you're going to dust yourself or you're going to wind up homeless or whatnot. And I was fortunate enough, like I said, to meet a beautiful red-haired, blue-eyed woman that accepted me for who I was. She accepted me with all my faults and all my differences. She loved me. And I tell anybody, that was part of the process of me changing some, because I knew when I met her, I didn't want her to have to deal with what I had going on, mentally in my head. The physical part of it, I dealt with, because I eat pain like it's candy. I deal with pain every day because I'm a severe pain patient. And I mean, but I want to tell you what, I can wake up in the morning and, and I can look at my wife, and I'll tell any man this right here. You're a woman that stays with you, or a husband that stays with a combat vet that has to deal with this stuff. My wife is my sunrise and my sunset. I will tell anybody that. My day starts and it begins and it ends with my wife. And if I know things get too hard, I can talk to her, I can cry on her shoulder, and I ain't going to be shamed, and I ain't going to feel ashamed about it. If I need to talk to a brother, I can call Stephen right here, and I can call several people and I can talk to. But it's hard to talk to people that don't understand. If they ain't been there, they don't really understand. I mean, you got a shrink. Yep, I know they go to school with for it, and I know they smart and everything. But was it them to pull that trigger? Was it them to look through that glass and did what they had to do? Nope. So, in my opinion, why they talking to me? If they ain't put boots on dirt and seen what we seen, how does these people that goes to school for this stuff know what's going on up here if they ain't never had the experience?
Right.
And you know, that's the thing that I don't understand with the VA. Why do you want us to sit here and make like everything's all right, everything's hunky dory? Because y'all know as well as I do. All right, they just started this thing here a few years back. Year of the veteran. Why did it take? And I'm gonna say it like this: no disrespect. Why did it take that damn long for it to become the year of the veteran when it should have been that way a long time ago?
Should have been that way from day one.
And I mean, when you got people out here that's done, I mean, Purple Heart coded, got combat action badge, good commendation badge. I mean, the whole freaking 9 yards. And then the people look at you like you ain't done nothing. Walk in our boots for a while, tell them we ain't done nothing. Look at what we done looked at, see what we done seen, and deal with it. And then you're going to know. Then you're going to know.
So let me ask you this, Chris. What means more to you coming from a civilian standpoint, being that you are a combat veteran? What means more to you, someone to say thank you for your service, or someone to grab you by the hand and ask what they can do for you?
Have somebody take me by my hand, and I mean shake my hand like I'm a man. All right, don't tell me welcome home because I made it home. But help me up, don't hold me down. Pull me up, don't hold me back. That means something to me. And am I looking for a whole bunch of gratitude to feel sorry for me? Nope. But when a vet needs that help, stick your hand out to help him. Don't pull your hand back away from him when you find out he really needs help. That means a lot to me, because there is some people out there that has a legitimate good heart. Y'all sorry about the phone keeping got hold of it in my hand. But you know, to have somebody to walk up to you and tell you thank you for what you've done, it means something to me. But then I tell anybody, you know, sometimes life's a day-to-day struggle. And it's hard to talk about. I mean, it's just hard to talk about, because a lot of times most people, you know, I don't know what to say to them. And dude, I to this day, as long as it's been since I've been in, we got boys that's still coming home, you know, and done their thing. And I ain't no rich man by no damn means, but I will pay for somebody in uniform's bill in a heartbeat. I ain't looking for a free Happy Meal or nothing like that right there. I do it because I love my veterans. I love law enforcement, everybody, stuff like that right there too. And I'll help anybody I can help. But if you want to help a vet, I tell anybody, show some real gratitude. I mean, anybody can say thank you, and they really can. Anybody can say thank you for your service, but do they mean it? When you turn around and walk off, you know, are they going behind your back and say, that's something that's crazy? No, I ain't crazy. It's people like me. I want them to understand. The people like, you know, Stephen right there, people like my brother, people like my daddy and everything. You know what? We made it to where you walk around free and y'all turn your noses up at us. Don't look down on me, because I don't want nobody to look down on me. If you want to do anything to make me feel good about me, lift us up. Don't push us down like we're a piece of damn trash. Pick us up, dust us off, accept that we have some problems. Be willing to listen to our problems. If you, I mean, but I could preach a sermon on telling you how to deal with some of the stuff, but in the civilian world, I just feel like there's so many civilians out there. They don't get it, they don't understand, or they don't care. It's just like with the VA. And then I know I'll probably get blowed up for this right here, but if civilians actually had to see some of the stuff that we've seen and gone through, it would change their mindset 100 times over about what a vet has done and what they've been through. Because I can tell you right now, when my baby brother, when he got blew up in Afghanistan, I was to look out for his son, and his son was just a baby then, and I won't never forget it. Got that phone call. Everybody except for him. He was blew completely out of the rear gunner truck, dislocated both shoulders, tore up both his elbows, dislocated both legs, and he still returned fire and called a fire mission. And when I got that call, and the reason he went into the military was because of my dad and me. And then I thought to myself that I just killed my brother. That's really what I thought. Because he joined in trying to follow our lead and stuff like that. And I can tell you right now, Joshua Cleveland, brother, I know you in the deer stand right now, brother, hunting, because that's what he does. But I cried like a baby. I did. I cried like a damn baby until I heard his voice, because my daughter and my son-in-law, he was working for the White House up there in Maryland, and they wasn't too far from Reagan Air Force Base when we got the call that they were sending him home. He was on a flight. They was inbounding him home. And I had my daughter and my son-in-law to be waiting on him. Time boots hit American soil, he was down. And all I could do is when he got there and I heard his voice, it's like I lived all that crap all over again up here, because seeing how he was, it took me back that damn, that could have been a metal box bringing him home, but it wasn't. Dude, and it was just like when I got to see him, I got to put my hands on him. I was like, damn it, boy. I mean, and because, like I said, my daddy was Purple Heart recipient. I was Purple Heart recipient. Josh was Purple Heart recipient. And I mean, but we keep coming back, keep going. And then my daughter joined the Army. And I mean, when I got out, I was an E6. I mean, that's staff sergeant status. And I mean, and I tell anybody, there ain't no expiration date. When I signed that dotted line, that was for a lifetime. And exactly. I'm pretty sure every real veteran out there, they understand what that means. You won't never quit being a veteran. You won't never quit being a veteran.
Our oath never expires.
Cool.
Nope. When you take that oath, it ain't got no end date on it. Like I said, I'm fixing to be 58 years old and I'm half crippled. But you want me to tell you what? You don't think I won't put on a pair of BDUs and lace up some boots and go at it again if I got to? Well, on the 1st Airborne Ranger up, I mean, I'm there. I mean, I ain't scared to scrap. I mean, I might sit there with a case of beer and tell them, all right, y'all just send them my way. I'll do my thing. Y'all do y'all's. But I mean, that expiration date is when I take my last breath. That's when that expiration date.
Well, Chris, I'm gonna tell you this because I heard you say it to Steven. You're not alone, brother. And one thing that you don't know about me, I ain't nothing but 2 maybe 3 hours away from you right now.
Cool, man.
I'm in Florence.
Or you are home. I mean, you home state.
Yeah, I'm in Florence. I'm in Florence, South Carolina. And not to take this away from you, but I do got to correct Steven on one thing that he said at the beginning of the show. I am not a Marine. I just want to say that. I served with the Marines.
Navy.
I am a United States Navy corpsman, which is the better part of the Marine Corps.
Ah, there you go. That's what I was getting at. So
Yeah,
let's just go with that.
because
That's
you
what
know you know the slogan that the Marines have where they say they're looking for a few good men. Well, they found them in Navy corpsmen.
Oh, there you go, bro.
But like what you were saying on PTSD, and I didn't want to jump in because you're hitting a lot of things. You're hitting the head of the nail on a lot of things. I am a complete mental health advocate. That is on TikTok. That is what my platform is about, is mental health. I will drop at a dime for not only a veteran but also first responders and civilians. So you're not alone. You'll never be alone. And one of the things that I found out, and it took me 16 years to finally get it stuck in my freaking hard head, because you know, us veterans, we're hard headed.
Oh yeah, 100.
Is we will never be okay. And that's so for the civilians that are listening. When you talk to a veteran and you ask them if they're okay, and they say no, they're not okay, but they're safe. That is our way of saying we're not going to do anything stupid.
That's it.
Myself, and that this is another reason why Steven has me as the co-host. I am a 22 a day survivor. I am pushing 17 years since I tried to commit suicide. And I may get a little emotional and everything like that, but it's a story that I'll tell, and that'll be for another day
Just
on
stay
the
safe, bro.
podcast.
Stay
On the,
safe.
and my thing is you said something in the beginning when you first started that you reached out. You reached out for help. That is our first step. That is the hardest step for a veteran to do, is to reach out for help.
Yes, sir.
9 times out of 10, when that veteran is when one of us is reaching out for that help, that means we've hit rock bottom.
Yes, sir.
We're at our lowest. And for like what Chris said when Steven asked him the question, what would you rather have? Somebody thank you for your service, or what can I do to help? I am the same exact way. What can you do to help me is to help all veterans, not just me.
That's it.
Help every veteran, just like what you said, Chris. Pay it forward. You see a veteran, and I'm not just saying veterans. I say first responders. Oh, you dick! You had to put me in the big box. Um, Even first responders, especially if you got nurses or something like that, and you see them in line. I do it. If I'm in a drive-through and I see a police officer behind me, I'll pay for their food
Yes, sir.
and not say a word. Pay for their food and just drive off.
Drive off.
And I have been pulled over by that cop. That cop has pulled his lights out on me and said, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Because that was the right thing to do." It's not that we're looking for credit. It's not anything like that. It's the right thing to do. It's the human thing to do. And not to take anything away from Chris, because Chris, you are older than me. So I actually feel a little privileged that that somebody is actually older than me that's here. Um, but the thing is the Vietnam era veterans, and I can never emphasize this more and more. The Vietnam veterans, they didn't get a welcome home.
My daddy didn't.
They got spit in the face. My dad is a Vietnam era vet, and he was told when he flew to change into civilian clothes and not wear his uniform.
Yep.
And that is the sad thing, that this country could not support people that were dying for what they believed in.
Got
Now,
that right.
did they believe in that Vietnam War? Probably not. But they believed in that oath of enlistment that you said at the beginning there, Chris, that we took, and that is an oath that never ever expires.
Nope.
I'm sorry, even when I'm dead, that oath doesn't expire, because I don't know how it is with the Army, but with the Marines, we're going up to start guarding the gates of heaven.
There you go. There you go, brother.
And I'm pretty sure the Army's going to be right there guarding with us. So that's the thing. And the biggest thing about veterans, we had the camaraderie when we were in.
Mm-hmm.
We missed that. We missed that camaraderie.
Yes,
Also,
sir. Big time.
also, we had a mission. And I can't give enough gratitude and everything like that to Steven for everything that he's doing for veterans and everything like that, and keeping the mission going. I'm
Yes,
doing the
it
same.
does.
I'm doing the same thing. There are a lot of veterans on TikTok. There's a lot of veterans, and I have to put this out there, because this is an amazing event that is going on this weekend in Katy, Texas. It is the I Got Your Six benefit for veterans. I have a lot of people that I consider brothers that are going to be at this event. One of the people that is hosting both the host of the events, I consider brothers. One of them being a non-veteran, and he's hosting it. But the biggest thing is we cannot give up on our brothers and sisters.
No.
That is the biggest thing, because I know y'all seen it pass across up here and everything like that. And for the people that are watching on TikTok, we say 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
It's more than that.
That's just an average number that we come up with. The actual number of veterans that commit suicide a day is between 46 and 48 veterans a day. That is almost one a minute. But that is not the only thing. We always talk about veteran suicide. We always talk about the 22 a day. We never talk about spouse. There are 19 spouses a day. 19 spouses that commit suicide. But that's not even the kicker. The kicker is there are 8 to 10 kids that do it.
Yep. And that's the stuff people don't talk about, is right there what you said. A woman, when she's married to a vet, and they got kids and stuff, and the PTSD, I'll tell everybody real quick. If you don't think that woman's pressure that's on her and it's on them kids to deal with that, man, y'all, they sadly mistaken, because they're dealing with you, dealing with your mental aspect, what's going on up here with you. They trying to understand, and they want to understand, but I'll tell anybody, I'm glad that, they can't. They can understand and see that what it's doing, to me and to you and whoever else out there. But when it comes down to it, they suffer as much as we suffer. And there's a lot of people go, no, they ain't no way they suffer as much. Yes, sir. If they staying with you and they contend with it, and they tolerate what you put them through because what you've been through, yeah. I'll tell you right now, there ought to be a Purple Heart for every veteran wife out there.
And not just the veteran wives. It's the active duty, the active duty wives and the active duty husbands. Excuse me. Because think about it. When you're deployed, who's taking care of the home front? Those spouses. They go through their own trauma.
Yes, sir.
And if you're listening on TikTok, and you're listening here and you have a TikTok, one of the greatest people that you can go follow and watch her videos is Kashi.
Yes.
Kashi is probably one of the strongest male spouses that I know. And the trouble and the hatred she gets for
Yep.
trying to help the veterans and the Mill Talk community is just outrageous. And
She gets hammered a lot, brother. I'm telling you that. I've seen that, and I'm like, you know, I'll tell people like that, you know, that hammer people like, you know, her. It is like, but my daughter, even though when she was in the military and they did away with her MOS, she was a cook, and now you know the Army and everybody else, they ain't got cooks no more. They get everything catered. And I'm like, really? I mean, I know that for a fact because my wife's in the restaurant business. They cater to the National Guard.
so you're telling me that the Army's turned into the Air Force?
Look, little bit. Hold on now. I want you to look at a little bit right there now. We
Hey,
ain't gonna
I'm
measure
not.
the sizes, but I mean just a little bit. But now the Air Force was actually the Army Air Corps, so let's get that right now. That's how they got started.
Well, I'm gonna
But
back that up just a little bit.
but
AIT 2001, Fort Bliss, Texas. I will not complain not one bit because them Hispanic sisters that came over there and was running the grub line. You talking about some of the best chimichangas and fried taters and burritos and everything else. The Army was doing it then. They was getting the right people in there, but I don't know about now. But yeah, I have to give it to them back then. They brought the Hispanics over from right across the border in El Paso, right there from Juarez, and well, them girls could cook down. And you talking about throwing down some food. You got by the time you hit the bar, by the time you got to the end, you were done. We had 3 or 4 plates down the gullet, so it had to have been pretty damn good. I don't remember much of the taste of it because we had to eat it too fast, but either way, it was good.
yeah, my wife and them the restaurant she works for, they do all the cooking on for the National Guard up here in Newberry when they pulling drills and stuff. And I'm like, my poor wife. You know, I feel bad for her because you know, I'll say it because you know I am Army and my last breath will be Army. I can't help it.
Oh.
That's how we roll.
Oh,
But the Army at times, I'll tell anybody, well, I don't know if I actually can say this, but I'm gonna say we can be assholes at times. And I mean,
No.
yes, we are. I mean,
No.
that's better than
Roger
standing
that, Roger that.
that.
It came natural. When
It's
Uncle Sam took us,
it's
they
better that
turned us.
way.
They turned us that way. But you
We're
know, I'll
not
tell you.
standing in line at the convenience mart chewing on crayon, so it's okay.
Hey,
Well, at least it
hey,
ain't permanent markers yet. At least it ain't permanent markers yet.
hey, leave my crayons alone. The red ones are spicy.
The red
Right.
ones, them's the red hot, son.
Yeah, the red ones are spicy.
But
It goes on. It goes on. And one of the things that a lot of civilians need to understand, you hear us and you hear us rag. Like I will rag on the Army all day, every day,
yes, sir.
because it's go Navy beat Army.
Too bad that didn't happen in football. Oops.
Yeah.
Hold on. How many times have y'all done it in a row? I think we were at 14 before y'all finally beat us. Before y'all beat us at 14 in a row.
Rearview mirror.
Hey, it's all right. Navy's got a team this year, so just saying. But you'll hear the veterans. We'll pick on each other like crazy. Like there are anonyms for everything.
Oh, lawn darts,
everything.
screaming eagles, choking chickens.
Exactly. You've got
Uh,
you've got Army alone, which aren't really Marines yet.
well, we're just fully developed men.
Well, yeah, and then you got Navy. Then you got Navy, which means never again volunteer yourself. And then you have the Marine Corps, which is muscles are required, intelligence not essential.
Oh, Lord have mercy! Now you gonna get some hate for that for some people I know, buddy.
Oh, the thing is,
Snafu, calm down, brother. Snafu, calm down.
I ain't worried about Snafu. Snafu ain't gonna do nothing. All I'm gonna do is give Snafu some crayons and a silver bullet, and he's gonna be perfectly fine.
Oh God.
I will say this.
Hey, I'm a tribal elder, so we have to be careful with Snafu now. I mean,
I love Snafu to death.
Oh yes.
I will say this to back up where I know Doc was going, even though we got kind of sidetracked with the whole Looney Tunes episode, but it's all good. It's 5 branches, 1 unit. 5 branches, 1 mission. We are all one consolidated unit to include our fire department, our police departments, our EMS, and our first responders. Those are our homeland security, our family security, our community security, and they're on front line every single day. As a volunteer firefighter myself, been there, done that, and I deal with a lot of individuals in the police force through Battleborn Brotherhood, and you'd be surprised at the disregard until the time needed.
Yep.
Everybody's got something bad to say about a police officer until they need one. And I was driving home the other day. I'm gonna throw this example out there. My wife was coming up 321. I was coming up 321 for taking my son home, and I didn't see the accident. My wife did, and they took the back roads because there was a high-speed police chase that actually happened behind the motorcyclist getting hit and killed. She passed him. He was laying unmoving in the middle of the road, and the bike was in pieces. And all the police blew by me. They were coming from every different direction, highway patrol, everybody. And I called my wife because I knew she was somewhere on 321. I was like, oh, there's high speed chase going on, and she's like, yeah, a biker got hit. Now, every single member of that biker's family, I'm willing to bet, were rooting for the police at that given moment.
Yep.
As soon as they found out that their loved one was laying there on the asphalt, they were rooting for the police.
Yep.
And the same thing happens when a house catches on fire, or there's an automobile accident where children are involved, or even just humans in general are involved. Don't be grateful when it's convenient.
Amen.
And that's the same thing that we were saying about veteranship. Don't be grateful or show gratitude when it's convenient or when you're put on the spot. You hear it all the time. You can. What you do in public is one thing. What you do behind closed doors or outside the view of the public, that defines who you really are.
Yes, sir.
So if you're doing it on the screen but not doing it off the screen, then what are you? You're a freaking hypocrite.
Exactly.
Amen. You're a false sermon, brother.
Well, and I'm gonna touch on something. Because we said we weren't gonna really look at the TikTok feed, but I glanced down. And my Air Force buddy Speed, he said something that kind of lightened the mood up a little bit. He come up and he said, "Yeah, we're all, like how Steven said, we're all one unit, but we'll still pick on the Coast Guard."
Right.
Yep. Well, I got this thing. I tell you what, I tell people with the branches of the military, and this is how I view our America to me. It really is. Which is stronger? Let me get my hand over here. 5 or 1? What is stronger? When you take them 5, right there. Yeah, I'm sorry, damn phone. When you take that damn 5 right there, and you make one fist, and it's united, you have got something right there that is one America.
and that's 100% correct, because if you look at it, if you honestly look at it, and you listen to any veteran tell stories about drinking at a bar or anything like that, and you're drinking with all the branches, because we'll just come in and just start drinking, and we'll start ragging on each other, but the first second that somebody else that is not a veteran or
Says
not
so-
in the military says something, even to the Coast Guard, to the Puddle Pirates, everybody will turn their
yeah,
attention to that one person, make them feel about that big, and then go right back to where we left off and picking on each other.
that's
Because
it.
that's the thing. We're all, every branch of the military, we're siblings. The Coast Guard just happens to be the baby brother.
Well, I'll give you for instance on what you say how true that is. I was on a dove hunt yesterday at Calverton Plantation, and they are basically a veteran place. I mean, that's where veterans can go hunt. And we had Marines out there, we had Navy out there, we had Air Force out there, and we was all hacking on one another and everything. And I said, all right. I said, yep. I said, I hear a lot of smack talking now, but how many of you people in the other branches really want to learn how to shoot? Just follow my lead. And and then you had a kid that had to go make a comment. It's like 20 people at one time told their kids to shut up. Like we can hack on one another, we can pick on one another, but we all know where we've been, what we've done, and what we have to live with. But I'm gonna tell you what, I don't care what branch of the military they in, and I tell anybody in a heartbeat, they my brothers, they my sisters, their family is our family, and all I ask people is, and I've heard Steven say this: all veterans don't wear a hat. All veterans don't walk around with a military T-shirt on or whatnot. You'd be surprised that the homeless people out there, they can't even afford that hat. They can't even afford that daggum T-shirt. So be careful when you pass a homeless person. That could be a veteran. You riding right past, whatnot. But it's still a person, period. Even if they're not a veteran, you can help them up some too.
Exactly.
I tell everybody, if alcoholism and drug problems, then you really need help. I'll feed you all day long, but I'm not going to sit here and give you a pocket full of money. I will feed you in a heartbeat, but to hand you money for you to go get your alcohol and your dope with, Papa Bear ain't gonna do that. Nope, I ain't gonna do it whatsoever at all. But I do. I want to name a few people that on TikTok land out there that is outstanding. Steve, brother, I love you to death for what you're doing to Tiny Homes for Veterans, brother. You keep a course on that. And it's one nonprofit that I can really just reach out and hug all of them, and that's Warriors 22. They are outstanding. Gaines, I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
Even you
Kelly.
go past Gaines, you hit Miss Kashi. Look what she's living on base, taking care of her kids and stuff like that. My hat's off to them because they're sitting there, they're backing up what they say they're gonna do.
They are putting boots on the ground.
That's it. And they got boots on the ground at home because I talked to Skanes yesterday. While I was on the dove hunt, I talked to Skanes yesterday. He tried calling me. I said, I'm hunting. I got through hunting. The first thing I done after I called my wife is I called Skanes. He's like, man, I wasn't going to bother you. I'm like, hey, brother. I said, it's all good. I'm done now. I had a little beef in with a rattlesnake sound, and I'm like, don't be trying to get the hell out of Dodge. And, but, there's a lot more of them organizations is out there that, is looking out for veterans. I don't know all of them that's veteran founded, but the two that I wholeheartedly believe and love to death is Stephen. If you ever quit doing what you do, I'm going to do it this way because I got big hands on this damn phone. Don't like me. And don't ever quit doing what you're doing, brother. Stay the course. because what comes back to you, it'll come back tenfold, brother. Because if you take a man off the street, you put him in a house, you make him feel like a man again. He ain't crawling in a box. He ain't crawling up under a bridge. Warriors for 22. I'm going to tell y'all what, that nonprofit organization right there, they get stuff done. They ain't about no drama or this, that, or the other. They out there about helping people. And I've talked to several people. And I mean, I've talked to several veterans that have called me, and they be in the middle of a situation. I answered that phone, and I mean, I was on the phone with one guy one day for 3 hours talking to him, and I talked him down. And he says, man, he said, I'm glad you just listened. I said, sometimes that's all it takes is somebody to listen. And so, I mean, I'm a talker. My wife tell you, I can bump my gums real good. But sometimes just talking is the best thing we can do, is us letting us talk and get stuff out. It helps take it out of here sometimes. But when we lock up and lock down and we quit talking, that's when you got to be careful. Because when that vet quits talking and he's like, no, just leave me, you know what, alone, that's when you better start wanting to check on that brother, that sister. I mean, I got to give the ladies their props out there, because we got a heap of lady veterans out there. And I want to tell you what, we got some kick-ass lady veterans out there, too, that won't take no crap from nobody, neither.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the lady veterans make me nervous, and I'm 6'3". And I'm like, no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yep, I copy that. Nope.
Chris, I just gotta, I see a little comment on the TikTok stream that'll kind of make you laugh. My buddy Speed from the Air Force, he come up and he said, legend has a rattlesnake bit Papa Bear. After 2 weeks of agonizing pain, the snake died.
Yeah. Hey, that sounds like Chuck Norris special right there.
But
it was a cobra.
And like you said, these organizations, Warriors for 22, you got Steven with all his. There's so many. You've got Chaz with FSB.
Yep.
You've got Lee with 22 lives. And then I've got to put this out there. There is a young lady on TikTok that I have known forever. She's probably one of the ones you were talking about, Chris, being scared of. And that's Lita.
Yeah, she can make you a little bit nervous the way she gets going on sometimes.
And see, here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about Lita. Lita has her own nonprofit.
No, I did not know that.
But see, her nonprofit has nothing to do with veterans. Her nonprofit is she helps kids with cancer.
And I do that myself.
And their families.
I would tell anybody, the one thing I do is to take my mind off the stuff. Sometimes I make knives, and I donate knives and don't charge a thing for them as long as they're a legit thing. Mm-hmm. And I do the kids with cancer and kids with terminal illness and stuff. I don't ask for a penny, don't want a penny for it. And you know, in the last 2 years, I've probably given away 67 knives, and not ask for nothing. You know, ship it to them the whole 9 yards. And but then, you know, that's just, I do it because it feels good to me in here to know that I can help that kid do whatever and so forth and so on. And I will tell everybody, let me say this straight before I do get in trouble. I'm Papa Bear Knives in Newberry, South Carolina, not the other guy. So that way I ain't get nobody butt hurt. But to me, helping one kid out is like helping a veteran out. And I mean, because at one time that veteran was a child too.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it.
And with what you're saying about helping that kid, you don't, and honestly, you don't know if their kid that kid if their parents are veterans or
That's it.
and everything like that. So and it's like we've said over and over and over with in this podcast. It's paying forward because he Papa Bear over here, he's not doing it for clout, as a lot of
Nope.
people like to say on TikTok. He's not doing it for clout. He's not doing it for anything like that. He's doing it because that is the right thing to do. That's the human thing to do. He's paying it forward
That's it.
because he never knows that, hey, one day down the road he might be in need of something,
Mm-hmm.
and that kid remembers, and now he's a teenager, and he sees Papa Bear struggling, going counting his change. He's at McDonald's, just throwing McDonald's out there. He's at McDonald's and he's actually counting change to try to get him something off the dollar menu. And that kid goes, "Hey, that's that guy when I was 7 or 8 years old that gave me that gave me a knife or gave a knife for the raffle or the auction that helped me get the treatment that I needed."
Yes, sir.
And then he walks up there and says, "Hey, Papa Bear, remember 6, 7 years ago when you donated that knife to this organization? Well, I was that kid. Let me cover your meal." You never know when that's going to happen.
That's right.
And it's not us telling y'all that that's what y'all need to do. We're just advising that it is the right thing to do. And I'm not saying that because I'm a veteran. I'm saying that because I'm a human being and I've been in struggles and I've seen people in struggles.
Yes, sir.
And I am the type of person that will give the shirt off my back for somebody. I will go wherever I need to go. And the thing is that kid can also go and see somebody struggling and pay it forward, just like what we do. Because you do your knives, Papa Bear, I do woodwork. I do
Yes, sir.
scroll saw work, and I do the same thing. Like FSB, I have myself and my father have donated multiple cutting boards to FSB for them to raffle and auction off to raise money for their organization. And it's not that we're looking for the credit. We're not looking for credit. We're not looking for clout. We're not looking for anything. It's just the right thing to do. It's coming from our heart.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Steven's got something to say. He went in the big box.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I don't want to do is overrun the followers with hours and hours and hours of information. I'm going to comment on what they were just speaking about, and I'm going to run down some things that we're working on and that I wish for our communities to help with before we close this night out. We will have Papa Bear back up here again, as I really only have one more question for him. Chris, as a brother, as a battle from one human to another, I know it wasn't easy getting in front of these people and speaking on some of the things that you spoke on. I could see it in your eyes at times. But how do you feel knowing that Doc, myself, my board with Battleborn Brotherhood, Welcome Home at Veteran Manor, that we are giving the veterans the opportunity to speak? How does it make you feel that you've been able to speak and be heard?
Man, I think it's outstanding. This needs to happen more often, because I feel like our voices ain't heard. Our voices need to be heard. People need to know what we have dealt with for years and years, and this is an opportunity. And I've actually needed this. I was a little bit nervous coming on. I'll tell you that right now, and because I'm one of them, but sometimes I love to talk to them, and sometimes I'm like, oh, got my guard up. But this is giving people an opportunity to express their views and how they feel about some of these matters that need to be addressed. And I think with the government needs to really look into why is it so hard for us when it shouldn't be so hard for us. I mean, I ain't saying that our life has got to be, peaches and cream every daggum day, but let us, we done paid our dues, and we would pay them again if we had to, and that's the sad part of it. But dude, keep this, y'all. Anybody that's out there, if y'all hearing this, keep this live stream thing active and going, because I'm telling you, I feel like I've let some burden off of me going, because there's a lot of things that I've blamed myself for. It's like I blamed myself for years, and I actually hated God for a long time. When my best friend, like I said, he was 3 foot away from me when he took around, and I mean, I got mad, dude, and when I came back across the water from Fort Payne, Alabama, after going home with his body, brother, I mean, I was mad. I wanted vengeance for my brother, and I'll always miss him, and I'll always love him. And I mean, period. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's other people that was took from us too soon, that and it was for the freedom of this country. And I think that people out there on this podcast, if you don't think that we love this country, you're fooling yourself. But Stephen, dude, this has done me a lot of good. I mean, a lot of good, brother. And I mean, my man down here, I mean, looking all sexy. I mean, my beard ain't quite as pretty as his, but I mean, getting there, because I actually had a kid think I was Santa Claus yesterday. Ho, ho, ho. But, yeah, brother, it's outstanding what you're doing. You're giving combat veterans and people a time to be heard. Because we all deal with PTSD and combat related stuff different from each other. We all got ways we handle our stuff. I mean, some of us clam up, and when we clam up, all right, that you need to have your head on a swivel. Some of us, we just straight out just get mean sometimes, or we want to crawl into a bottle, or we want to pop some pills or whatever, something like that right there. Nope, I can tell you right now, dude, this has helped me. But I want everybody out here to know that my wife is my saving grace. I will tell anybody that. My wife, like I said, she's my sunrise, my sunset. And I mean, she's put up with me and took more off of me than any woman should have had put up with. And she has stood beside me the whole time. And I can't say how much I love my wife any more than that, because my day begins and ends with her. And I mean, brother, just being able to let people know that even though you have seen this, you've seen that, there's people out there that love you. There's people out there that do care. And that's the problem, is it needs to be more people willing to do what you're doing, Stephen. There really is. There's more people out there that needs to be doing, like for Warriors of 22, FBS, and all that. I mean, and Kashi, God bless her heart, because that's a strong-willed woman. And I'm telling everybody, I mean, it's so easy to hate that it's unreal. And it's so easy to look down at somebody that it's unreal. And I would tell anybody some of the easiest words to say and not mean is thank you, or say I love you, or if you ever need me, all right. But them's the easy words to say, but actually meaning and doing that is a completely different thing.
100%.
And I tell anybody that. I mean, I can sit here, I can tell a bullfrog, I love you, bullfrog. Yeah, I love his legs, and the hell with the rest of him. I mean, that's about the size of it. But then when you come down to it, I can look at my redheaded wife and know I loved. I can look at people out there that care about me and know that they care about me. And that's what you allowing people to do, is come out and express how they feel. And man, that's a plus and a half in my book for you, Stephen. Hats off to you, brother, for doing this live like you're doing. And hats off to my other brother in here that's in there. Even though I'm prettier than he is, I'm probably taller than he is too. But I mean, I just ain't got that beard that he's got going on. But and good to know it's a South Carolinian in here with me, and a North Carolina brother in here. And but no, man, keep the mission going, brother. Our voices need to be heard.
And to touch on what you said, Papa, and like I know Stephen's ready to end this, and
not quite yet. We're close.
Yeah. But one of the
I would
things,
never end it. Just saying, I would never end it. But once again, I don't want to overburden
everybody. I'm just gonna and I'll probably end every podcast this way. That way, everybody, especially the veteran that is here speaking and everything like that, can hear it as well. One, it's okay not to be okay.
Yep.
2, we were taught when we were in the service. It doesn't matter what service you were in. You could be in the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, even the Space Force now, because we do have Space Force. I can't even do the Spock thing, so. We were all taught. That when we're in trouble, pick up that phone and call somebody. If that person doesn't answer, call the next one. Call the next one. Call the next one. Keep calling somebody until finally somebody picks up the phone and says, "Hold your position. I'm on my way." That is what I tell anybody and everybody that I deal with mental health with. That is exactly what I tell them. Get you your group and keep calling that group over and over and over, because I'll be the first to say, when I crash, because of all the medication that I'm on, when I crash, I'm out. So if I don't pick up my phone, it's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's because, honest to God, I don't hear my phone. And
brother, I'm with you on that, because I take a lot of medication. I sleep with a CPAP machine, the whole 9 yards, brother. And it's
you just continue calling people until somebody picks up the phone and says, "Hey, I'm on my way." Because the last thing I want to hear is that I was the last person, I was the first and only person that you called, and then I'm reading your obituary in the paper, because that's gonna break me.
That's what spawned the idea or ideology of Battleborn Brotherhood, our not-for-profit volunteer mission for combat veterans to come together to battle check veterans across the nation. We know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to call. And Smurf, he's in my live on TikTok. He'll tell you, Aaron, it's been my battle since the beginning. I mean, and if there's anybody that I can call, if I'm capable, depends on how far down the rabbit hole I've traveled, it'd be Aaron. It'd be Brandon, the Semper Patriot. The Semper, I mean, there are a select few that I already know I can call, but that's the whole ideology behind Battleborn Brotherhood, is a group of combat veterans already calling in advance. We're ahead of the mission. We're already on the mission. Oscar Tango Mike, we're already there. And hoping, in my mind's eye, when I think about the particular odds that are against us when it comes to drug addiction, alcohol, or just day-to-day life, stress, anxiety, everything. You know, that one particular phone call, as random as it may seem, could change a battle's life forever.
Copy that.
Because now
100%.
he knows that he didn't have to reach out. Somebody already reached out to him. And the VA is not going to do it. You know, they're not going to do it. So it's up to us to be ready for our battles when they come home, for ones that are already home. Because there's one thing that I can verify, as I've traveled that road myself, and I don't like to speak about things that I haven't experienced. But the transition from the kill, 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 blood red kill mentality to the sir, yes, sir, I'll be there 6 a.m. mentality is the transformation is a very hard one. We're not trained for coming home. We're not trained for transition back into a normal, loving, caring, supposedly loyal society. And instead, we come home to a whole nother battlefield to where we end up fighting alone in our mind's eye. In our mind's eye, because first we get abandoned by the same government that employed us, and then we feel abandoned because the citizens that are around us have disgraced us and our name to a point to where we're scared to ask for a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up, because we think that we will be burdening that citizen, and we don't want to burden that citizen because the burden was already placed on our back when we signed that dotted line.
Copy
We
that.
signed up. We signed up to carry the country on our shoulders. But now that we're home, now that we are, and I'm not speaking about me personally. I have 4 companies. I do just fine by myself. But it's been a road to travel that has been bloody and torn, just like a battle flag. It has not been an easy road to travel. And to give back, and I'm going right back to what Doc was saying about paying it forward earlier. I never really learned what that meant until about 4.5 years ago. I own my own construction company, and anybody that knows anything about construction knows that it's feast or famine. They're like 3 good month run, and then you got 6 that are bad. It just happens that way. Well, it just so happened that year, it was a famine year, and my kids wouldn't have got nothing for Christmas. Santa Claus wasn't coming. Mom and Dad couldn't do nothing, not even a pair of socks. And then out of the blue, I got a truck that showed up to my house with probably about $3,000 or $4,000 in pre-wrapped gifts, just out of the blue. Well, eventually I found out who had Secret Santa, as they call the game nowadays, that to us. And he was a close friend of our family. And I went to him after I got situated, and I tried to give him $5,000. And he said, I don't want that. You've wasted a trip to Georgia. I don't want it. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was just paying it forward. I said, well, what is that? I never knew what that meant until this particular instance. And he said, dude, he said, always, if you have it to give it to those that need it. And by doing so, they'll in turn give it to someone else who needs it. And it just starts a chain that goes on down the line, and the blessings just keep stacking up. It comes back and it comes back. It might not come back in the form of money. He said, that's not what I did it for. He said, I want to be human.
Mm-hmm.
I want to understand struggle. I want to understand stress and anxiety. I want to understand the dad that feels like he's not a dad because he couldn't provide, or the husband that couldn't provide because, it just goes on and on and on. There's so many different ways to define that. And, I caught what he said, And it just so happened that year we were doing the Smiles Through the Pain thing for my daughter, for her disorder and her nonprofit. And through our following, we had 7 families that also didn't have Christmas that year. 2 were in Canada, the rest were across the United States of America. And we took that $5,000 that he told me to keep with another 2K, and we funded, it was a total of 16 kids, I think, the families combined, their Christmases, including the parents. And the feeling that came over me of watching these kids, it wasn't even the kids that were so happy, the happiness of the kids opening these presents that got to me. It was the parents. The gratitude, it wasn't even a voiced gratitude, just the look on their faces as their children were made happy. It touched my heart, and it showed me that, it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. It's not about where you do it, it's about when you do it. It's just about the fact that, it's like Papa Bear says all the time, ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Whoa.
And with Welcome Home, I seen a problem. Veterans need houses.
Yep.
So step up to the plate. Let's get some veterans some houses. With Battleborn Brotherhood, veterans need to be called. Our battles need to be checked on, both men and women alike, spouses. That's why we started Walk a Mile in My Shoes with Cindy Stamey at Carolina Cares, for veteran spouses to come together as women who deal with us.
Yep.
And that program is taking leaps and bounds. It's about identifying the problem and coming up with a solution, not as government officials, but as citizens, Americans. It's about being an American. It's about showing people the proper definition of valor, honor, integrity, courage,
Yeah.
trust, unity, loyalty. These things are the very definition of what it is to be an American. These are, some of those are the Army core values, and they've stuck with me since 2001. But they ring true because when we look at our society, as broken and disheveled as it is, but we have a group, a unit to say, or branches. We have, it's like Papa was saying, we got warriors. Those are my people. We've got Doc with his endeavors, with all of his stuff he's doing. We've got 22 Lives. We got all these different nonprofits, and it's not about who's doing the most. It's not about who gets to go where. It's not about who gets invited to what event because of their endeavors. It's not about none of this stuff. None of that means absolutely nothing. What means something is that we all have the same mission.
Yep.
And that means that we need to unite as 5 branches, 1 unit.
That's it.
The more people we have unite against the 22 a day, the more people we have to unite and fight against that. Are we going to ever get that number down to 0? No. But if we unite with all these organizations that are doing the exact same thing, and not one organization is better than the other.
There you go.
If we unite, we can save multiple instead of just that one that your organization, or 2 that your organization might help that day. If we unite with everybody, we can save 8, 9. Because if you look at it, last night you heard Steven talk about how he's had very little sleep and how he helped a veteran that needed some help. He was on the phone with me. He was also on the phone with Warriors for 22. He got that person the help. And I know Steven's just like I am. We don't do it for the numbers.
Nope. Do it 'cause
So
it right here.
I'll say this. I would rather have 10 followers who follow me for my purpose. It's the same thing that's on my construction trailer. Building relations and serving purpose. It's the same thing that you get in an email when we do a construction job for you. Thank you for allowing us to serve your purpose. You know, I would rather have 10 followers who follow me for what I believe in and for my mission than just so I would follow you back or follow for follow or whatever it may be. I mean, I don't care if you bite off my swag or whatever you want to call it. You know, it doesn't matter to me. What matters at the end of the day is the mission. That's what it boils down to. It is the mission. It's not about, that's why for 6 years, I have not done anything in the public eye. I have been in the shadows. And I would much rather remain in the shadows than to catch all the heat and the flack of this popularity contest that rages across our country. It's not about being popular. It's not about how many people it is about how many people you can save. Whether they're homeless, displaced, mentally, whatever it is, because we all want the best number. Why not for ourselves, but for that number to be lessened? It's about the intention. It's about where the heart lies. You know, and I could sit up here and I could preach all day long about, it's like they were saying earlier, like Papa was saying about the oath of enlistment, and it has no expiration date. You know, a lot of people fail to realize, and I'm going to touch this before we get ready to close this out, because I'm going to close it out at an hour and 45 minutes. We got like 9 minutes. I say this all the time. That signature, in most cases, and this is from me speaking to individual veterans, in most cases, it was never for family. It was never for self. It was never because of friends or just being persuaded to do so. It was for a love. And that love was our Constitution. That love was our freedom. And that freedom was being infringed. And we signed that dotted line. And that meant that not only did we sign it for ourselves to protect our freedom as a person, but tens of millions of people we have never laid eyes on, never heard their voice, never spoken to. We put our name on that dotted line to protect and to preserve the rights of millions and millions of people, strangers from all across the nation. And this is where it gets deeper than that, because that's just the seed that gets planted. What I'm getting at is, not only did we sign away a 4-year term of government employment, or a 10 or 15 or a 20, sometimes we even had 2 years, depends on the branch. We signed away our mental health. We signed away sometimes our physical health. Agent Orange, the Afghanistan fire, tire pits,
Camp Lejeune water.
We signed away our physical health. Some of us lost limbs. Some of us lost our sanity. Some of us lost the will to live. Some of us lost family while we were overseas or deployed or wherever we may have been. Some of us lost so much more. Some families paid the ultimate sacrifice by their child not coming home. And the mental and emotional burden that follows behind that is like a chain of events that just gets worse and worse and worse. So when we say that oath of enlistment It's a burden. It is. We carry so much more than the title. Oh, wrong side. Soldier.
Mhm.
It's much more than that beret or any of these awards right here or them dog tags. It's so much more. And we do appreciate when people say, well, thank you for your service. But if you're so grateful, why is that veteran fighting for his right to get health benefits? Why is that veteran fighting for a right to find a place to live? Why is he sleeping in a tent? Why doesn't he have a pair of shoes on his feet? He's just got a single shoe.
And
Why is he fighting for what he already fought for? And as citizens, real quick, Doug,
yeah, go ahead, bud.
as citizens of this great country, the United States of America, we should be proud to know that people in our neighborhood, in our own home, and the county next door, or states and states and states away, put their life on the line, on that dotted line, so that we could go to sleep at night and wake up the next morning without a worry on our heads, so that we could go out and find a job and work and provide for our families while we were being protected. People fail to remember that there's a sacrifice. It might not be the ultimate sacrifice, but there is so much sacrifice in the signature of a dotted line for the United States military to serve and protect our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the thing that we call our country and that we're so proud of. And my thing, and this is the breach of the whole gist of what I was getting at. We always hear people on social media, in public, wherever, and they're like, oh, we the people are pissed. They got a decal on the car. You know, that pisses me off. It makes me mad. Because we the people doesn't exist. And you see what I got scrolling across the bottom screen here. We were the people once. We are the people now. We will be the people forever. I wrote that myself. The fact is that I rewrote that whole statement of we the people. Because you can say I am the person all day long. When are you going to be the person? Action verb. And that's when I took it upon myself to do everything that I do, because I'm not one to sit around and say, oh, I'm pissed about the homeless veterans and not do nothing about it. Oh, damn, ain't nobody going to get that veteran a shirt. Well, why don't you give him a shirt? You know, or the example's in the definition. It's time that we be the people that we claim we are. Right back to thanking someone for a service. Action. What actions show the gratification and the gratefulness of a veteran service? He's not going to get it at the VA. And I tell you what's really crazy. I'm gonna give you a few numbers before I get ready to close this out. I'm gonna let Doc speak for a second. I'm gonna give you some numbers. Small town of Hickory, North Carolina. Not even the big city. The government is kind of with the veterans in that city, as far as our attorney general and everything else goes down there. But we have more veterans flock to the city of Hickory. Population of 42,522. Of that population, 12,000 actual residents are veterans. I don't know the exact number, but it's 12,000 and some change. Out of the entire population, which accounts for the homeless, the displaced veterans. It runs that number up to about 80,000 and some change. 16,922 veterans in the city limits of Hickory, North Carolina are either homeless or displaced. And the reason that they flock to this city, not the big city like Raleigh or Charlotte or Asheville, where the big VA center's at, or Salisbury, where that clinic's at, the reason they come to Hickory is because the community is so receptive of veterans. They're receptive, meaning they help veterans. Veterans are talking on their little lines of communication and saying, look, man, you got to go to Hickory, man. If you want to get help, go to Hickory. It ain't even going to be the VA. It's going to be the people. The people are doing stuff for the veterans. And that's what we need. Because you go to a veteran right now, and I speak to a lot of them throughout the week. As I travel throughout the state, I do a lot of traveling in my business. And I'll speak to a veteran here or there. Hey, man, have you heard of this going on? And I'm not even trying to toot my own horn. Have you heard of the tiny homes out in Morganton? Huh? Tiny homes? What's a tiny home? For veterans? Or the village down in Shelby we built? No, I ain't never heard of that. Well, what's the VA doing for you? Oh, nothing. I can't even get in the front door. Well, what if I told you there was a tiny house with your name on it right now, if we could get you vetted and get you approved? He said, what do you mean approved? I said, well, it ain't through the VA, if that's what you're asking. What I mean is approved is we approve that you're actually a veteran. DD form 214, 212, or 252. I mean, some type of document that says that you had a statement of service. Oh, he said, well, I got that right here. All right, well, let's go put you in a house. See, veterans don't know. That's the problem. They've been pushed aside so much that they give up on even looking for information. They think that they have been abandoned, that they have been left behind. And that is our ultimate goal at Battleborn Brotherhood and Welcome Home at Veteran Manor, is to remind these veterans, not by telling them, but by showing them, by manifesting in action, that you're not forgotten. We're here for you. We will get whatever we just got that veteran that we've been dealing with on the crisis line for 3 days help outside of the VA. Outside of the VA, no veteran related service. Warriors 22 is actually taking down one of their contacts because they claimed to be a free veteran service, and the first thing they wanted was insurance before they would approve it. Then you're not a free veteran service. You're in it for an insurance dollar, which is way higher than the natural dollar.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me sick. But this is the battle we fight. This is the battle that we sign up for. And for any and all of you on TikTok or Clapper or whoever's watching on any of these 8 streams that we're pushing out there, if you want to join that fight and help these veterans, not give them a hand out, but give them a hand up, not talk down, but talk them up, not look down, but lift up, this is the place to do it. And I'm not saying that because I'm the best at what I do. I am just an American soldier, an American, and I take pride in the fact that my journey has led me down this road to where I can provide, not just for my family, but for my veteran community. So if you want to be a part of the Veteran Voices movement, here or off the app, by all means, send us an email. welcomehome.veteranmanor@gmail.gov. We don't necessarily need monetary donations. Just telling people about what we do. That's one of the biggest donations in all, because guess what? The veterans are going to hear about it and they're going to come running. That's the best way to handle it.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. My construction company has never advertised on Google. Veteran owned and everything. Never advertised on Google. And I have made more money than some of the bigger companies across the state just by word of mouth. And we can do the same thing with the tiny house movement, creating communities across the nation. Getting these veterans off the street. Give them what they fought for.
I'm gonna touch on a little bit of what Steven has said. He's hit a lot of stuff on the head. But one thing he kind of left out, and I think he left it out on purpose because he knew I was going to say it. If you're a veteran and you feel like you're alone, reach out. You're not alone. There are so many of us that think that we're alone, and we're not. And the other thing is, you never know what's going to happen. I was in a live and on TikTok, and that's where Steven came up and said, "Hey, I want you to be my co-host for this." I was like, "Okay, I'm just me." And that's how I am. I'm just me. I don't care how many views I get on TikTok. I don't care how many comments or anything like that happen. I don't care. Yeah, would it be nice? Yeah, it would be nice instead of one of my videos on that is dumb getting 1.2 million views. Why can't one of my mental health, when I talk about mental health, why can't that get the 1.2 million views? Why can't we have a live on TikTok where we're talking mental health and we're actually talking a veteran down? Just and we're not professionals. We're not mental health professionals. So anybody on TikTok that's watching on the TikTok stream, I am not a mental health professional, but there's one thing that as a veteran that we look for, and that's somebody just to talk to and to listen. And that's what I do. That's why I'm so good at my job. And yes, I call it a job because I absolutely love doing mental health. I love talking to people. I love giving them advice because that's all I do is I give them advice. Tell them, hey, this is what I did and it worked for me. But the biggest thing is there are so many good veterans to talk to on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, I don't know much about Clapper or any of the other sites or anything like that because I really don't have any of those. I just have TikTok. Now, but there are some on TikTok that you don't want to talk to because they are what we like to say in the TikTok frame, toxic. But there are so many good ones that will sit there and listen. And why can't we have a live that has 250 people in it and we're talking mental health? But you have somebody getting, as they like to say on TikTok, called out for something, and they have 250 people in there. It's because nobody on TikTok actually cares about mental health. They care about the drama. Wherever drama is going to go, that's where they're going to follow. And I'm not saying that about everybody. There's there's people that will follow the positivity and everything like that. And it comes down to this. You're going to be put into people's path for a reason. I was put in, me and Steven were put in each other's path for a reason. I was put in the path of FSB for a reason. I was put in the path of Warriors for 22 for a reason. All these organizations, like I said earlier, we all need to come together and fight as one instead of fighting against each other, doing the same freaking job. But I'm going to leave it on this, and this will be the last thing. It's true. It's okay not to be okay. Please reach out. And just remember, pick up the phone and call somebody if you're in trouble. And I don't care if it's just a little freaking nightmare. Pick up the phone and call somebody. If that person doesn't answer, call the next one, call the next one, call the next one, until somebody picks up the phone and says, hold your position. I'm on my way.
Well spoken, well said. And I'm going to say a few things before we get ready to close this one out, y'all. There's a call button on my profile on TikTok. It calls me directly, and if it doesn't get me because I have so much going on, it kicks it over to Jason Townsend, who is my VP. He's an Iraqi and Afghan vet, 9 years of service, and my go-to guy. He's actually also beat the 22. He was a potential 22 a day, and that's his mission now, is to help eradicate that mindset. All it takes is tapping that button. That's all it takes. And all I'm going to tell you people, anybody that's out there listening, VTR and Radio Network, Battleborn Brotherhood, Welcome Home at Veteran Manor, Warriors for 22, any group, none of us are better than the other. We all have faults. We all have flaws. Nothing is perfect. But at the end of the day, our mission is the same. That being said, it's like Doc just said, reach out. Reach out. I know it's hard. Been there, done that. I'm not getting into my whole rabbit hole story or none of that stuff today, but it is hard. And what Mr. Cleveland got on here tonight and discussed, that's even harder. You could see it in his eyes. It's hard to dig that hole back open when you bury that coffin. It is. And I want to shout out my gratitude to each and every person. I haven't seen one troll tonight. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen one naysayer tonight. And that just goes to show how pure and good this environment really is. That there is not even a bit of ammunition that can be used against what we are trying to do here. And that is let veteran voices be heard. Because that's what this is all about.
And that's the other thing, not to interrupt you, Stephen, but I wanted to touch base on what you just said about the veteran voices being heard. Because here's the thing, and this is what was taught to me by a World War II vet, and why this World War II vet told his story so many times over and over and over again is because when we die, who's going to tell our story if we don't tell somebody our story? It's not the fact that we're giving veterans their voice to be heard. It's we're allowing them to tell their story so they can live on forever. Because think about it. You may hear something that you heard tonight that Papa Bear said that's going to stick in your brain. You're going to go tell somebody about this podcast and tell them about what Papa Bear said. Right there, you're passing on part of his story.
Creating a legend.
And also, I'm going to put this out there because I'm pretty sure Steven didn't think about this. If you know a veteran that you think that their story wants to be heard, please reach out to myself or reach out to Steven and we'll get you scheduled. Might not be tomorrow, might not be the next podcast. It just depends on how many people. Like he said, we're going to have Papa Bear back on because there's probably tons of stories he's got to tell. And
he likes to talk.
Yeah. And so, and that's the thing. And there might be one time that it's just me and Steven in the box.
Oh, I'm sure. That's what I was about to get into, and I hadn't forgotten about it because I was going to throw it out there. But I did want to touch on the whole veteran voice and why, but as we're getting ready to close this podcast out, I do want people to understand that, it's about the veteran voices. It's about the stories. It's about opening the people's eye to the struggles that are within the mind state of the veteran that create the state that he's in currently. Whether it's a state of crisis or a state of gratitude or whatever the state he's in, he could be the happiest veteran in the world. But there's a reason for that within his story. We all celebrate life today. We're all here. And I couldn't be more grateful to the following. I've never had this many people in my life since I've been on TikTok. And the supporters that are in my live on TikTok right now, quite a few of them aren't even veterans. But yet they're here. And they're supporting. And this is what the veteran needs to see. This is what that veteran that feels abandoned needs to see. It's not just the veterans that have his back. It's the civilians as well. The American citizens, being American, doing the American thing. And we're going to continue this podcast. Like I said, I pray it never gets shut down. I pray somebody picks it up and keeps it going after I'm gone. But it's not always going to be a veteran in the box. I want to be on, and I'm going to be dropping videos on Battleborn Brethren, our YouTube channel, of some of the endeavors we've had over the past few years with Valor Village and with our veteran rescue projects, everything else. So that maybe they get shared to a veteran who doesn't know. That's the biggest thing for me, is not just America, but the world needs to know that America's not really broken on the inside. And it's not because of our lovely government, and we're not getting into politics. It's because of the people. The American citizens and the veterans and our Homeland Security. We have backbone. We are each other's backbone. We are each other's motivation. And through dedication, determination, and discipline, we will win through. So I pray for any and everyone out there tonight that is dealing with a problem, no matter how big or small, veteran or civilian. Remember, And remember this, and you'll hear me say it often. Your story doesn't have to end today. That's why they created a semicolon in the English language. Because that sentence doesn't end. It has something else to say. Always remember my veterans, my battles. Tomorrow needs you. And there's a long story behind that saying and why I use it because of my tour in Afghanistan. Not going to do that tonight. We're going on 2 hours and 6 minutes on this particular opening debut. And I couldn't be more grateful to the support, to the camaraderie that I've seen as I've glanced in at TikTok, and for my battle here, Doc, for having my six on this, for my buddy, and I'm going to see him next weekend, Chris Cleveland, my battle. He's almost a father figure to me. He's almost there. I wouldn't want to get whooped by him, but
he is old enough, probably.
yeah, he's definitely old enough for sure. But I over the past few weeks of knowing this man, I have grown to love him more than a family member. He is that close to me. He means that much to me. And for him to announce even publicly that little old me, what I'm doing here in North Carolina, sitting in my closet, which is now my studio, means that much to him as a veteran and as a person. It gives me that much more motivation and drive to keep pushing forward, no matter how I feel. And that's what we need to instill in every single veteran, every single citizen, is that motivation and drive that even the little bit counts. Even the small people in the back, Aaron Smurf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the smallest thing helps. And it's that help that we're looking for. Because I have a dream. And that dream is to see that the veterans aren't homeless. That the veterans are cared for the way they should be. That our mission statement, why are we fighting for what we already fought for, gets eradicated when we shouldn't have to take on this fight. But we have wonderful, wonderful people all across the nation that are joining ranks. They're toeing the line. And as a person of motivation, a person of positivity, I can see it coming together. It's just going to take some work. And this is the start of that work. If we can keep this going, like Papa Bear said, if we can keep getting the veteran voices on the radio, getting the resources stacked to where every single unit, because there's many units in a brigade, that every single unit has the same ammunition, because holding a better ammunition back from another organization is just hindering the people they're trying to help too. If we can all maintain a steady course, an equal course, we will win. We will win, y'all. That's how it should be. That's how it will be. It just takes the people.
And it's going to be y'all, not myself, not Steven, to help us keep this going. By sharing out and giving us veterans to talk to that can come in and tell their story, female, male. We want everybody. We want everybody to tell their stories. And you do not have to be a combat veteran to come up and tell your story. You're still a veteran. You're still our brother. You're still our sister. Whether you saw combat or not, I see you no different than I see my combat veterans. you're still my brother. You're still my sister.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. This has been a beautiful thing, man. It's been beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I hate Chris got dropped out by accident. I don't know how that happened.
I think he just left. I think he was tired
No,
of us.
he's in my live box right
Oh
now.
yeah, I've seen him over there. That's why I'm about to say what I'm saying. He left because I got a better looking beard.
Oh.
But I'm just going to say a thank you to everybody that has been watching this podcast on all forms of the social media that we have. The people, my my family on TikTok, thank y'all for coming in. Thank y'all for supporting this. Because when Steven said this to me, you can ask him. It was like I immediately said yes. I didn't even think about it. He's like, "Hey, I want you to be my co-host." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Let's roll. Let's do this." Because he's got the same heart, the same mission that I want to do, and that is let veterans be heard. Whether you're combat, non-combat, male, female, active duty, it doesn't matter.
Spouse,
Spouse,
son, daughter, anything.
and the thing is I'm going to and I'm going to reach out. I'm gonna reach out to Kashi and see if she'd like to be a part of this
I'm
and
sure
come
she
in
would.
and come in and tell her story. I know on here on TikTok, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but Hope, send us a DM. We'd love to have you up here so you can tell your side.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out real quick to Warriors for 22 with our crisis intervention last night for coming through with a bunch of resources, whether they panned out or not. Just knowing that those resources are there and that I have access to them is what I'm talking about as far as the camaraderie and unity amongst organizations to work together, because it's not about whether or not you save the individual as a person. It's how you do it together, because they weren't the only people I called last night. Doc was one. Rondi out in Raleigh was one. I called quite a few people, and we all put our resources in the hat and just chipped away till we got the desired result. And it's no credit to my organization for making it happen, towards Rondi, and she's in the chat right now, or anybody. It's a group effort, and we won. And that's what I want to see. That's how it gets done. That's how we're going to keep doing it. And withholding information from anybody, if they're trying to help a veteran, you might as well take and do them yourself, for lack of better words. You might as well just go ahead and end it for him and wear that for the rest of your life, because withholding information in a situation of crisis like that is a loaded gun. It's a life or death situation. And we have to see that as humans, as people, as soldiers. That said, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out, y'all. I am so grateful for everybody. I salute each and every one of you for your participation tonight, and look forward to the next. Make sure you're watching my TikTok page and the page Battleborn Brethren. I will be dropping videos and updates for new events. All you have to do to see the events coming up is look under the live category. There'll be a separate playlist for each individual endeavor we're doing. So that being said, make sure you subscribe. It's free. We're not charging for this. Once again, this is for the people. This is for my veterans. This is for my family. This is why we do this. And I'm going to sign off. All of you know me, Steven Scher. Please, 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 always remember, tomorrow needs you.
Exactly. Love y'all.